Good day there once again, viewers. Your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today guys I wanted to have a chat about the controversy between Fortnite and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds that cropped up over the last week. It's a topic that certainly raises a lot of questions worth looking at that really relate to the wider gaming industry. To some, it even raises some concerns for the gaming industry and how the idea of ownership over concepts plays a part in the industry. Now, will we have answers to address all of these questions and concerns by the end of the video? Probably not, but it's still worth talking about it as it is an issue that affects the wider industry. Now, for all of those who have been living under a rock for the past week and have no idea as to what I'm talking about here, let's get you up to speed. Essentially, over this past week, Fortnite, a newly released sandbox survival game developed by Epic Games, and remember that developer name because that becomes important later on, debuted its take on Battle Royale with a standalone free-to-play Battle Royale game mode. Now, this brought about some good news for console players who were itching to get in on the Battle Royale action, as they now, well, could. Fortnite became the signature Battle Royale experience for consoles, everyone was happy, all was well and good. Until the developers over at Bluehole expressed some concerns with Fortnite's Battle Royale and its resemblance to their overwhelmingly successful game, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. While acknowledging that there have been many Battle Royale games released over the years, and some with the intention of competing with the new market created by PUBG, Bluehole made it clear that they were concerned with the amount of similarities between the two titles, with the executive producer of PUBG stating that they, quote, are concerned that Fortnite may be replicating the experience for which PUBG is known for, unquote. The gaming community, on the other hand, didn't take such allegations from the PUBG team lightly. Many questioned why the PUBG team had the right to even consider taking action against the developers over at Epic Games, considering that the gaming industry is literally made up of games that each fall into a genre that has expectations that make up the backbone of a game in that genre. Games have long been taking inspiration from each other, hence some people finding Bluehole's concerns entirely unwarranted. On the surface, it didn't help Bluehole's case that while Fortnite Battle Royale and PUBG were both Battle Royale games, they played extremely differently to one another. PUBG places a very heavy emphasis on its combat with realistic weapons that each feel incredibly varied, like they each have their own unique roles to fill. Now, while I haven't played Fortnite, I have been watching plenty of gameplay, and it looks as though the focus there is less on the weaponry and 1v1 combat, and more so on the world design with the base building / destroying element of the game. The combat in Fortnite looks very point and click, but its base building element makes up for it and gives the game a unique element that hasn't been seen in other games of this style. Personally, the only similarity that I can see between the two from a gameplay perspective is the fact that they are both Battle Royale games, and thus can see why people were telling the PUBG guys to pull their heads in. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't claim copycat, or copyright for lack of a better term, on a concept unless it is something that you yourself created or brought to life in a respective medium. And even then, claiming copyright on something that you consider to be your own concept is a very weak argument to stand on. That would be like the creator of Team Deathmatch claiming copyright on every game that contains the go-to mode. If the company who originally created the TDM mode started claiming copycat for any other shooter that had that mode in their game, the uproar would be insane, ridiculous even. However, with that in mind, on the other side of the coin, if you will, there is one thing that separates Fortnite from a lot of the other Battle Royale modes / games that exist on the market that are exclusively Battle Royale experiences. That being that Brendan, aka PlayerUnknown, created or was licensed to work on these other games to bring his idea of a fleshed out Battle Royale experience to life. He began by creating the Battle Royale game mode in ARMA 3 and DayZ, was then licensed to create it in H1Z1, and then Bluehole picked him up to create the game that we have today. He was directly involved in bringing the concept to life in all of these games. Sure, he wasn't the creator of the Battle Royale idea, but as far as video games go, he is the reason that it exists, and he was credited accordingly in all cases, bar Fortnite's case. So while the gameplay behind Fortnite is very different from PUBG's, the overarching experience is quite similar of it being an outright Battle Royale. As I mentioned before, most standalone Battle Royale games / mods had player unknown involved directly in the process, whether he be licensed to work on the games or create them directly from the ground up. But in this case of Fortnite, player unknown isn't receiving any degree of credit for the concept that he basically brought to life, which is something that the Bluehole developers are taking an issue with. And this standpoint was clarified in an interview with the executive producer of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds conducted by PC Gamer. The short and sweet summary of the situation, if you will, is that Bluehole aren't objecting to another Battle Royale game appearing on the market as long as it provides a unique twist on the mode itself, which is what games like GTA's Smuggler's Run does. If they aren't going to provide a unique twist on the mode, then they should at least be consulted by PlayerUnknown himself, much like all of the previous games that are exclusively Battle Royale experiences. But wait, that's not all. This goes deeper as far as licensing goes. One of the key issues that Bluehole takes from the creation of Fortnite Battle Royale is how Epic Games, the developers of Fortnite, are involved with PUBG already and are creating direct competition, thus resulting in a potential conflict of interest. For all of those who don't know, Epic Games are the creators of the Unreal Engine, which is what is used for PUBG, and as a result, Bluehole are paying Epic Games for the royalties to use the engine as a result of that partnership. But now that Epic Games have seen their engine in action supporting a 100-person Battle Royale game mode that also happens to be extremely popular, they have proceeded to create their own rendition of the mode using resources that I'm going to confidently say have come from the revenue stream generated from the licensing agreement with Bluehole. Thus, the developers at Bluehole now have concerns that Epic Games are going to improve the engine, or add new features to it, and keep it exclusively for their version of Battle Royale despite Bluehole paying them royalties for the partnership. And that right there is why I can see where they're coming from here. Originally, it did look like Bluehole turning bad guy attempting to monopolize the Battle Royale experience and snuff out the competition. But upon further clarification, it is actually more of a concern surrounding the partnership that Bluehole has with Epic Games, and how the creation of Fortnite Battle Royale could hurt the development of PUBG and Bluehole's investment in the Unreal Engine. It is possible that the developers at Bluehole are overthinking the whole situation, but if I'm being completely honest, I don't blame them for being just a tad concerned. When a game as popular as PUBG exists, other people are going to try and buy in on that market for a profit. But when a company who has already invested partly in the development of PUBG attempts to dive in for a slice of the pie more directly, it creates a conflict of interest. It would be like an employee who works at a local game store start working at a local competitor store at the same time. It would be a conflict of interest as the two employers would be concerned about where the employees' loyalties truly lie. That is essentially what is happening here, and I have to say that in my opinion, the guys at Epic have pulled a very shifty move here, and how they approach all of this in the future will be very telling of their true intentions. So guys, that kind of wraps up my thoughts surrounding the PUBG versus Fortnite controversy that cropped up over this last week. At first, I was a little bit concerned that the guys over at PUBG and Bluehole were getting just a little bit too big for their shoes, you know, trying to snuff out the competition and monopolize the Battle Royale genre, but it has become much clearer that they're simply concerned about their partnership with Epic Games and their investment in their engine and whether they'll be getting ongoing support from them in the long term. Guys, if you enjoyed this conversation, if you enjoyed today's video, then feel free to backhand that like button whether you enjoyed the gameplay, whether you enjoyed the commentary, whether you enjoyed the analysis of the situation, whatever the case may be guys, make sure you backhand that like button, and if you're new to the channel, then consider backhanding the subscribe button whilst you're at it to keep up to date with the content in which I'm releasing here on my channel. Leave some comments in the comment section down below as to what you guys think of this situation. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Once again guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, peace out, and I'll be seeing you all next time. Have a good one.